everybody, I'm Alexis. So we're going to talk about how to achieve more than your peers. Here's the deal. Basically, if you clicked on this video, it means that you want to be a high achiever and you do not want to be ordinary. You don't want to just fall into the abyss of sheep. You want to be special. You want to achieve more than other people. So in order to do that, you have to do more things than the average person does. So what I'm going to go through today are some things that I feel like most people are not doing. And if you put these habits into your life, it gives you that much of an edge over most people. I have a firm belief that everyone should be a high achiever in whatever that is to them. Everyone has different things that they want to be successful in. Maybe it's in relationships or in emotions or in their career. And whatever is valuable to them, I think everyone should be a high achiever. Everyone should know what they are capable of doing and set out to do it. There's nothing worse than regret, the painful regret of not knowing if you could have done it and looking back on it. I spent my entire high school career trying to get into an Ivy League school, and when the time came to actually apply to those schools, I didn't do it. So I spent my whole time working toward those things, got the good test scores, got the good grades, and then when push came to shove, I didn't actually apply. So now I look back after all these years, I don't know if I could have done it. You know how hard that is? That's stinking painful. And so now I'm saying, I'm not gonna do that ever again. I would rather try and fail than to look back and just not know. Because now I don't know if all those 4 years were worth it or if they weren't. The first thing that I think most people don't understand is that audacity and hard work beats out talent. When talent doesn't work hard. I mean, that's the quote. Basically, the only difference between average people and extraordinary people is that the extraordinary people got up the 100th time after they fell. When they fell the first time, they didn't take it as a sign, I'm just not talented in this thing, and it's a sign from above, it's fate, I shouldn't do it because I failed once. They failed, they're like, wow, I suck, I've got a lot to learn. But they didn't see it as a fixed thing. They had a growth mindset to say, I suck right now, I'm not great yet, but I can get there. Whereas most people have their first failure, they realize they suck, and they're like, wow, I suck, and they make that an identity statement that they think is going to go on forever. The second thing that I've heard successful people do is they write down their goals every day. So like what I do is I have, for the next 10 years, I have 10 goals that I want to achieve, and I write them down every day. The 10 goals, boom, boom. Just page after page after page in the journal, writing them down every day, because it gives me the bigger vision for what I want for my life, and it refocuses me to that day. Because that morning, that day seems inconsequential until I write down those goals and I realize, oh, I've got a lot of stuff I want to do, I better get to it. And I don't ever want to be the person that loses focus, because we are in a very chaotic world. There are lots of people like addicted to their cell phones, like on social media all the time. That is kind of the gravity that our culture is pulling us towards. And to be different and to rise above your peers, you have to focus on your goals more than getting distracted with what's going on every day. The third thing is when you write down your goals every day and you pick one to just go after, and you're just gonna go after that one until you get it, you have to find time within your schedule to actually make that goal happen. So every week I say, okay, if I just had 5 hours this week to get this thing done, these quadrant 2 tasks, they're not urgent, but they would really move the needle in my goals. Can I carve out 5 hours to work on that thing? And at the beginning of the week, I schedule it and I make those appointments. And I schedule those things first. It's like if you fill a vase with water and sand and rocks, fill it with the rocks first, then with the sand, then with the water. And my goals in those 5 hours, those are the rocks that you fill it in with first. Okay, 4, next thing. So let's say that you have a goal that you want to achieve. You're starting here, you want to end up here. Write down all the things it would take to get there. I would need to do this and this and this and this and this, and you're like 20 things, write them all down. What all would it take to get there? I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. Like if you wanted to write a book, you could say, okay, well, I would write the book. I would get it to an editor or a publisher, get an agent. I could take a writing class. I could, write out all the things you could do. Then look at the one that sucks the most, writing the book, and that's the one you have to do, okay? Bravo, end of story. The one that sucks the most, that's the one you gotta do. You can stop watching YouTube videos about it, just do the most annoying one. Okay, the next thing. This is kind of a pattern that I've realized people do. I've realized that in your 20s, people spend all their time caring about what other people think. 30s, people spend their time doing the marriage and the house stuff. In people's 40s, they spend their time running ragged. They've got no time. They've tied themselves to all these responsibilities and all these obligations, and they find no time in their lives. And then they spend their 50s in the midlife crisis. If we're trying to achieve more than our peers, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. That's the bad part of what everyone else is doing. So if I were to look at some things so I'm in my 20s, some things people in their 20s are doing. 1, they're caring way too much about what everyone else thinks, trying to look good for appearances. Whereas this would be a great time to just put your head down and get to work, because that's not what other people are doing. In my opinion, your 20s are the easiest time to get ahead, because everyone else is worried about how they look on social media and who has the most friends and who's the most popular and that sort of thing. Another thing people in their 20s are doing, in my opinion, is a lot of people are on social media a lot. Not necessarily posting, but at least scrolling, at least consuming through the content. A lot of people in their 20s are engaging in technological content. So that could be Instagram, that could be YouTube. When people in their 20s go to learn something, they usually go to YouTube to find that information. So if I want to learn how to edit a YouTube video or how to be a good YouTuber, I go to YouTube and I look up videos about it. But counterintuitively, I feel like people are reading less. But when someone goes out to write a book, there are so many more like gatekeepers to that. So if they went through a publisher and all these gates, they had to put in a lot more work to get a book published than someone has to put in the work to get a YouTube video published. So what I found is that the content in books is much better than the content in YouTube videos. Not always, but a lot of times. And if most people are not reading books anymore, if most people are on YouTube videos, that's one way to get an edge, because everyone is seeing all this tech information. It's just all kind of swarming. It's just one big pool going in circles and circles and circles. And the new information is kind of jutting out. The really deep, meaty information is found in books. Next thing, I'm gonna do a whole entire video on this, but basically stop complaining that you don't have enough time. There is nothing in your schedule that you didn't put there. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But if you don't like your schedule, change it because you made it. The next thing is to set routines to avoid decision fatigue. So we're going through our lives like, should I go on this app right now or not? Should I plan this lesson or not? Should I make this YouTube video or not? Most of our careers are a lot more creative than careers were 70 years ago, and it creates a lot more decision fatigue because our jobs are also tend to be a lot more diverse as opposed to specialized. So we have a lot more roles that we're playing. So by the end of the day, we have so many decisions that we've made and we're just fatigued that as the day goes on, we're just kind of like crashing. For the things that you can decide, just decide those in advance so you don't have to think about it that day. Decide what your morning routine is, decide what your evening routine is, what do you do at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, get some routine set so you don't have to think about it. You're just running on autopilot. The next thing, I feel like a lot of people set goals based on productivity. They say this is a goal I would like to achieve, so I'm going to be productive and get there. But the thing is that we're not machines. We cannot be productive all the time. So what you have to do is pick an emotion that you would want to feel. For humans, emotions are a lot more compelling than just like kind of this work your bee sort of thing in the long run. So pick an emotion that you want to feel. Like for this week, what's an emotion I want to feel? Maybe for this week, joy is a very important emotion to me. Pick goals that will lead up to current joy or future joy, and that gives you more incentive to actually get those things done that week. And then finally, I would trust your gut, your instincts, your intuition way more than you naturally do. I think a lot of people spend time, should I do this or should I do that? And they talk to their friends about it, or they will Google it, and they just kind of spend this time hem-hawing, but down in their gut, people know what they want. If you were to say, should I do A or B, and you flip a coin and it lands on one, you feel disappointed or not when one of those choices happens. You were either excited for one or you can feel the disappointment in your gut, you deep down know. So if you feel like you need to change course in your life, you can tell if it's because down in your gut you don't like that thing and it doesn't resonate, or because you're just slacking and sometimes flighty. Like, you can tell. One thing that would set you apart is to not ask other people for permission to do things, but to really trust your gut. And I don't mean your head and I don't mean your heart, I mean your gut. Deep down, what do you know? You know, I think a lot of times people are afraid to take the leap, to try something new, to start a career, because they're afraid of spending their time on the wrong things. They're like, what if I try for 5 years to be a YouTuber and then it turns out that I didn't really like it in the first place? I really need to just sit here and think, and then once I know for sure, then I'll do it. Well, first off, you should trust your gut, because your gut knows if you want to do it or if you don't. But second off, if you really are not sure, I would rather you spend 5 years on the wrong thing than 5 years doing nothing. Because if you spend 5 years doing something that turns out you don't like, you've now narrowed off something. You've now narrowed down the list of things that you want to do. Sometimes it's easier to figure out what you don't want to do than what you do want to do. So at least spend time doing something, because if you spent your time doing nothing, you haven't even narrowed down that. What I want you to do is pick one thing that I just gave from that list and do it. Just pick one of those things to implement, write it down right now. Make yourself a commitment that you are going to do at least one of those things on the list to set you apart from most people. And by the end of that, you will know what you're made of. You will know your salt. If you take the risk and you do something and you fail and you try again, you fail and you try again, and then you succeed, then you will know what you're made of. You will know that you are capable of getting up after failure. You don't have to sit there and wondering if you are a confident person or a strong person, or if you have value. You'll be able to have true confidence, and time will pass whether you use it intentionally or not. You can stay insecure and unsure, and you can just stay paralyzed and just doing what everyone else in their 20s and 30s is doing, but that time will pass, and you will not regret making the wrong choice because you tried something. You will regret making no choice at all and just doing what everyone else is doing and not being you and not being unique and not being the fullest version of you. You want to be, you know, salty. You don't want to be bland. You want to have a salty, flavorful life that sets you apart from other people, and you want to do what you know that you want to do. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, and do it. Yeah, so just dedicate your time to doing one more high achieving thing per day than you did yesterday. So the secret is that you do have what it takes and you can do it. It's just a matter of testing it and believe it in yourself. I already know that you can. Everyone else already knows you can with enough will and determination and with little baby confidence that you could actually get there. So thanks so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. See ya. Bye.